Hi guys, Mitch here. So today I'm going to show you how to use the Hot Melt Seam Sealing Tape. Usually you can see this tape in tents, tarps, rain jackets, dry bags, and other waterproof PU-coated fabrics. So all you need is the tape, a scissor, a parchment or baking paper. You can also use a piece of cloth if you don't have a parchment paper. And lastly, of course, the iron itself. Now for this video, I will be working on my 1 liter C2 Summit Ultra Seal dry sack. For many years, this has been my go-to waterproof bag for my electronics whenever I go camping. So here, I already removed the old seam tape since nag-peel off na siya. And before we put on a new one, we have to make sure that the surface is clean and dry. You can use alcohol-based cleaning agent to remove any oil along the seams to make sure that the tape will stick to the fabric. So here I'm using my shimag to make the bottom seam easier to work on kasi nga it's rounded and it's hard to iron when it's flat. Now position the tape along the seam with the inner side facing the fabric and the shiny side facing out. Now please note that the tape will not stick if you put it in correctly. You can always reposition the tape as long as hindi mo pa siya na plancha. Now take your parchment paper and put it over the area that you will work on. As to the temperature of the iron, I put it in the first level, yung temperature for the silky fabrics. Put a slight pressure on and continue for about 10 to 15 seconds. As you see here, the tape becomes transparent rather than frosted like it was in its original state. So it means that we are working correctly. Now, let's continue and finish the bottom seam. When you're done, cut the tape and make sure not to leave any gap. Okay lang na mag-overlap yung seam tape basta planchahin mo para walang loose end. Then after, check your work and if you need to make finishing strokes, pwede mo siyang gawin. Now, dito naman sa side seam, ito mas madali lang because it's a straight line. You can size up the length and cut the tape according to the length. Mas maganda if we can stabilize the fabric para hindi mag-bubble ang tape when we melt it. That is why we are pressing here, okay? Now again, when the tape is already in place, put the parchment paper over and start ironing. By the way, I made sure that my parchment paper is wider than the iron plate. And in this case, bigger than the bag, since maliit lang naman siya, I need to make sure na walang direct contact ang iron with the fabric. So just repeat the process. Iron press for 10 to 15 seconds or until the tape becomes transparent. Feel free to check it from time to time also. By the way, if you are using a cloth instead of parchment paper, try to adjust the temperature of the iron depending on the thickness of the cloth. Again, the temperature setting that I'm using with this parchment paper is the lowest setting, which is for the silky fabric, okay? So 10 to 15 seconds or until the tape blends in and binds with the gear that you are working on. Alright, I guess we're done here, and now that you've seen how to use the hot melt seam sealing tape, you can now make repairs on your gears with PU coated fabrics. But if you're not yet confident enough to do it on your tents, try it on your smaller gears like the one that I did. No, pwede rin sa rain jacket or sa poncho or sa dry bags nyo. You do it until you are confident enough to work on your tents, because you know our tents are major investments and we don't want to mess with it. All right. By the way, this dry sack is made of 30 denier nylon, and if you're working on a thinner or lighter material below 30 denier, you be very careful with your temperature. And as much as possible, iron only the seam portions. No? Kung saan merong seam tape para hindi masira yung material ng tents nyo or kung ano man yung gear na nire-repair nyo. So, there you go guys. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and follow CutCut Corner Cebu for more contents. Until next time, bye!